talking about overhyped motorcycle features, we must talk about keyless ignitions. Who has ever said they want keyless ignition for their motorcycles? Putting keyless ignition systems on a motorcycle is just asking for more electronic complications and potential failure points. Every time some new feature like this is added to a bike, it just introduces more of those failure points. There have been plenty of instances where motorcycles just stop recognizing the key fob and the bike refuses to start. Well, back to the dealership it goes for some more fantastical black magic wizardry to miraculously fix it. A feature like keyless start immediately decreases a motorcycle's chance for longevity. How are these keyless start systems once a bike reaches 10, 20, or 30 years of age? Well, maybe we live in China and we're just gonna scrap them after 13, right? Motorcycles are praised for their simplicity and their ability to run for a long time with simple maintenance and repairs. You can find a Japanese bike from the 70s or the 80s that hasn't been started in 15 years, and you can get it running in a short amount of time with super basic mechanical fixes. You get checked for compression, spark, and fuel, and you go from there. What are vintage motorcyclists gonna do in the future? In 2040, someone's gonna be like, ooh, I found a cool vintage 2024 Ninja 500 SE. The owner says it ran when parked, but it needs the fobs replaced and reprogrammed, along with an ignition software update to be installed by the dealer before it's gonna run. It's just a bit bizarre. The possible complications that come from a keyless start system overshadow any benefit, in my opinion. You lose your fob, your bike won't start, and a replacement fob is a lot more expensive than just getting a new key made. Also, did you guys hear about this controversy that Kawasaki keys work on any number of bikes? Seriously, apparently you can take a ZX-10 key and it can start like 10 different Ninja 500s. Weird. Riders with keyless bikes have even started their bike and driven off without realizing their key is still in the garage and the bike will shut off on them. A key fob also makes locking your bike more cumbersome than just turning a key and creates more possibilities for potential dead batteries if you leave the ignition on before walking away just because you don't actually have to remove a key. It also makes gas cap removals kinda weird too. Keyless ignitions are just a really unnecessary quote-unquote advancement and overhyped as the latest new and greatest tech feature to land on motorcycles. It seriously doesn't make anything better or easier. I have never once downloaded an app and connected my smartphone to my motorcycle. Yet there seems to be some sort of allure or hype around smartphone connectivity on motorcycles these days. For example, Kawasaki has their Rideology app that tracks rides where you can see your speed and RPMs and track your maintenance. I don't know about you, but I don't want anybody checking my speeds when I'm out there on my rides. I really don't. I don't understand the value that it provides for a rider. Maybe you'd look at it once and go, that's kind of neat, and then you never use it again. These proprietary apps are notoriously buggy too, with super clunky user interfaces and a tendency to reset and lose the data and maintenance records you may have been tracking. It's almost like motorcycle companies aren't great software companies. Weird. And it's almost like every car company's decided to just run Apple CarPlay or Google Android Auto, whatever the hell, because it's just way easier than making their own software. These pieces of software also provide an easier way to read engine trouble codes, but that is about the extent of the usefulness in my opinion. On Kawasaki's website, there's an article explaining the Rideology app, and they really stress the value of being able to share your rides on social media. So it's almost as if the app exists solely for riders to create free marketing materials for Kawasaki and give them the opportunity to spread the good word of the Kawasaki brand to your friends on social platforms. That's sweet, sweet user-generated content. CF Moto's always bragging about their app too, despite the fact that the major consensus is the app is absolutely useless. Also, CF Moto measures distance in inches. That was the thing that happened. Even the GPS function on CF Moto's Ride app is outdated and ineffective. And let's be real, do you really want CF Moto tracking and storing your data? Google does that enough for you. You connect your bike to the app and track your vehicle location. The next thing you know, someone's showing up in the middle of the night to take away your kidneys. Smartphone connectivity and ride apps are definitely overhyped. Moving on. Now look, listen, I love Yamaha. I really do, even though I don't currently own one. And truthfully, I really enjoyed riding the Tracer 9 GT, even if it was a little battle tank for my taste. But unfortunately, the Tracer 9 GT is also the poster child for overhyped motorcycle touring features. Cruise control is great. Any bike with a fly-by-wire throttle should be equipped with cruise control, but adaptive cruise control, the kind that uses radars to determine your distance from other vehicles on the road and automatically adjust your cruising cruising speed is a little overkill. Motorcycles are finicky beasts. We riders are responsible for using our skills and training to keep a motorcycle safely upright and under our control and en route to our destination. So a motorcycle that automatically changes speed based on other vehicles around you is a teensy bit antithetical to the nature of motorcycling. Radar adaptive cruise control took a significantly longer time to start showing up on bikes because there are so many more variables than when it is used on a car, and still only a handful of bikes like the Tracer 9, Multistrada, and the 1300 GS make use of this new tech. There are just so many things that need to be considered when developing adaptive cruise for a motorcycle, where vehicle speed and orientation have a direct relationship to the stability and balance on a motorcycle. I recognize that this tech has been highly refined, and Yamaha was once a leader in the pack for using a 6-axis IMU that constantly reads vehicle speed and orientation to control various safety features like cornering ABS or traction control. But I still feel a bit reluctant to trust adaptive cruise control, especially as the tech is so new and not widely adapted yet. In a simple, practical sense, radar adaptive cruise control could be a little annoying. If you're cruising on the highway at 80 and some dilapidated old Camry from the 90s is maxed out at 65 miles an hour on wobbly donuts with 4 bad wheel bearings, coolant steaming from the tailpipe, I don't want to slow down and cruise at unsafe following distance. I want to speed up and pass them before one of those wobbly donuts finally shakes loose and that last lug falls off entirely. I'm on a motorcycle. I own the road. This is my world. These clapped out hoopties are just living in it. So I will not adopt my cruising speed. I will continue to cruise with authority and move beyond what is standing in my way, but really adaptive cruise control is interesting. And I did get the chance to check out on the R1300 GS review you guys saw back there, and it works surprisingly well, but it's a little freaky to use still, and I think I just have to get used to it a little bit more. But in truth, it's a little overhyped. And since we're talking about radars, what's the deal with blind spot detection? Oh, you're gonna put a little light in my mirror that tells me there's a car behind me. Oh yeah, I would never have been able to turn my head 90 degrees to see for myself. If you're not actively looking and scanning the road when you're riding in traffic, you're already doing motorcycling wrong. Does blind spot detection just create a false sense of security and complacency in riders? Blind spot detection on cars makes sense. There are walls that prevent you from seeing every single inch on the outside of your vehicle. But on a motorcycle, you just turn your head. Some companies sell blind spot monitoring systems for motorcycles that can be installed on any bike, while high-end sport touring models like the Tracer 9 and Multistrada come equipped with it from the factory. They use those same radars from the adaptive cruise control to detect vehicles beside and behind you to illuminate a little light in the mirror to let the rider know there's a vehicle in your blind spot, if you can even consider a motorcycle to have a blind spot. I guess there really isn't much more to say about blind spot monitoring. It just seems a little bit superfluous, and similar to adaptive cruise control, it seems like it solely exists to be added as an additional feature or selling point for premium touring bikes.
Maybe you live under a rock, but this Aprilia RS457 is a giveaway bike on yammynoob.co. We're doing something a little different with this one. It's a super short sweepstakes, so you only have a few weeks to get entered to win this machine. Head over to the website and become a member for your best chance to win. You can also get a hat, a t-shirt, hoodie, anything you want, and every dollar you spend will be an entry to win. This is a really cool motorcycle. Any beginner sport bike rider would be happy with this machine, but it could also be an experienced rider's track day toy. Don't miss your chance for this bike to end up in your driveway. Head over to yammynoob.co.
Quick shifters are a lot of fun, especially when used on high revving motorcycles on track that can benefit from speedy shifts all the way at the top of the rev range. But quick shifters have kind of become omnipresent. I can remember a time where they were reserved for sport bikes and high-end models that really deserve to have them on track. But every motorcyclist seems to want one. Every new rider thinks that they need one, and they're showing up more and more on bikes that don't really necessarily benefit from them. Quick shifters allow you to click up through the gears without using the clutch. They super rapidly cut the ignition in the engine to allow you to slip up to the next gear without having to pull in the clutch lever or roll off the throttle. Most quick shifters work best at high RPMs with a good amount of throttle, otherwise the shifts can be clunky or choppy. This in itself makes quick shifters a little unnecessary for average daily street bikes where you aren't necessarily going to be rapidly accelerating at high RPMs all the time. Sure, they can be fun to have during spirited riding, but the belief that a motorcycle doesn't have a quick shifter is massively inferior is a bit silly. Many of those quick shifters and auto blippers, which allow you to downshift without using the clutch and automatically blip the throttle to match engine speed, are found in intermediate level bikes that aren't super amazing. For instance, on the GSX 8R, the quick shifter worked well enough, but the auto blipper never seemed to perform as well as I could downshift and blip myself.
The downshift is atrocious on this thing. Let's see if I can show you guys really quick. So you take off here, right? click it up into fourth, okay? So I'll be on the brakes, reducing the load. It's super clunky, really clunky.
But contrast that with our recent MT09 SP giveaway bike, and that quick shifter down worked beautifully. So quick shifters are a little overhyped in my opinion. They're awesome on certain bikes in the right context, but this mentality that every intermediate or even beginner bike should have quick shifter, even when they don't even work that great, is a bit much. If combined braking was so good, it would be as widely adopted as ABS is, but usually combined or linked braking is only found on big touring bikes like the FJR 1300, the R1300 GS, or Harley Baggers. Combined braking is essentially designed to apply the appropriate amount of pressure to the rear brake when the front brake lever is pulled. That's helpful on a big bike that is super heavy, where automatically applying a bit of brake pressure to the rear can help stabilize the bike under heavy braking. And the geometry of the bike means that it's not really going to stand up on its nose very much, and you can actually benefit from providing some brakes to the rear. But really, it's an overly marketed feature that doesn't really do anything that special and can create some disadvantages on most styles of motorcycle. There are just too many instances in which the rider needs to use each brake, front or rear, independently, and having linked brakes that applies pressure to both wheels simultaneously can definitely negatively impact things like slow speed maneuvering, trail braking, and off-road riding. It makes sense that some big-ass touring bike has linked brakes when they can weigh up to 800 pounds, but it's marketed as a safer or superior system, which just really isn't the case for 99% of bikes on the road. I've been kind of crapping on the Tracer 9 GT a bit today, and it is a great bike, but unfortunately it has a lot of new features that makes it the kind of target for videos such as this one. The Tracer 9 is one of the few smaller motorcycles that has a unified braking between front and rear, as well as a collision avoidance system that detects obstacles via its radar and automatically increases brake pressure to ensure optimal braking power in emergency situations. The system is far more advanced than traditional linked braking and has the opportunity to prevent a lot of bad crashes, but a traditional linked braking system is pretty unnecessary for most bikes. And again, I recently test rode and reviewed the R1300 GS, and that also had a similar feature, and feeling a ghost pull on the front brake lever as I'm trying to pull on it was one of the strangest feelings I've ever had on a motorcycle, and did not make me in fact feel more confident or safe.
Car in front of me is braking. Oh my God, that takes a lot of, faith in the motorcycle.
And the last overhyped feature on the list today are the super unnecessary rider aids on small displacement bikes. Our recent giveaway RS457 has it, and it's a bit silly. A beginner bike can use ABS, and that's about it. Multiple ride modes on a bike that makes 45 horsepower is kind of ridiculous. Even more ridiculous is launch control. Who out there is drag racing their Duke 390 so often that they need launch control? On top of that, you usually have launch control if you have a ton of power and you need to kind of curb it to get down to the rear wheel. With 45 horsepower, just dump the clutch, float a little wheelie, and call it a day. Manufacturers just putting these features into their bikes because they already have the tech from larger bikes and they can market it at an attractive selling point. And all these excessive features just end up causing confusion for new riders who think having rain mode on a beginner bike or other rider aids are designed for more powerful machines are a must-have for all motorcycles. And not only are these features unnecessary and a bit confusing, they can potentially lead to over-reliance and the slow development of skills for a new rider. If you're going to be an ultimate street squid legend, you're going to have to learn how to launch your bike without launch control, just like the good old days. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. You're one of the special ones. Let me know what you think are the overrated features on a motorcycle. Be sure to tag me in all your cool Rideology app social posts, and maybe Kawasaki will give me a free ZH2. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Catch our live streams on Wednesday at 6 p.m. CST. Subscribe to our free newsletter. Immerse yourself in the Yami Noob universe and get signed up on our website. You deserve it. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Fact: 1 in 18 people have a third nipple. Goodbye.
Fellas, time's up. This video is over. Do you know what else is running out of time? This sweepstakes for the RS457. I really don't want you to miss this. This bike is super cool. It's hard to come by, and it's brand spanking new. If you're a beginner sport bike rider, or if you're an experienced rider that just wants an awesome, fun toy, head over to the website, sign up, and become a member, and don't miss your chance to win this RS457. And I suppose you could keep watching Yami Noob right over here, or here. It's somewhere. I don't know. Go watch it.